Hello, kindergartners. Welcome back to another day of social studies. Today, our lesson is called The Birth Certificate of Bessie Bland. Our objectives for today: review the objectives, watch the lesson video, complete the assignment, and then click Mark as done on Google Classroom. Our objectives for today are: I can identify the people that help tell a person's story, and I can discuss the people that help tell another person's story. Today, you're going to need a piece of paper, crayons, pencils, and markers. All right, let's get into our lesson for today. This is a document. And a document is a written or printed paper that gives information or evidence of an official record. And this kind of document is called a birth certificate. This is the birth certificate of Bessie Bland. And a birth certificate is a kind of document that can help tell a person's story. This is Bessie Bland's birth certificate. And this shows a person's name right here. It shows where she was born, the time she was born, and the information about her parents. So this has her name. This has her birth date, where she was born, her parents' information. This is another image of her birth certificate. So it shows that she's a female. She is white. She's Caucasian. This is the day she was born, where she was born, her father's name, her father's address, where her father was born, how old her father is, what her father does for a living. It says he's an iron finisher. This has her mother's name before she got married to Bessie's father, where her mother lives, where her mother was born, how old her mother is, if there are any other children, so when everybody is born, they have this document that's called a birth certificate. All right, and this gives information about the people that help tell a person's story. So on this birth certificate, we can already identify some people who helped tell Bessie's story. Her father and her mother helped tell her story. Now I'm going to read this story to you, and it is called Climbing the Family Tree. This story, talks about family trees and birth certificates as documents that record and preserve family histories. Okay, so I'm going to read it and then we'll talk about it in a second. This story is called Climbing the Family Tree. Find the history in your family. The Mather family is having fun on a family camping trip near the Cedar River in the mid-1890s. The man on the ground is William, or Will Mather. In 1851, when he was 5 years old, the Mather family moved to Springsdale, Iowa from Ohio. Will liked to brag that he was the first to arrive at the family's new farm. He ran ahead of the wagons, driving a small herd of cattle. And who is the baby sitting on her father's knee with an older sister? That's Jean, a future genealogist. Genealogists try to identify all of their relatives, sometimes creating family trees that show family relationships. Some family trees go back for hundreds of years. During her lifetime, Jeannie Mather Lord recorded thousands of family stories. It's easy to be your family's genealogist if you like detective work. Start by interviewing other relatives. Write down all of the names mentioned, the towns in which their relatives lived, and the stories that make each person memorable. Keep all your information in one notebook. Next, look for more information in written documents. Ask relatives if they have items like death or birth notices and birth and marriage certificates. Copy this information in your notebook. Written documents can be tricky because of misspellings and mix ups. Genealogists have to interpret the information they find because of this. Some relatives are extremely hard to find. It may also be hard to track family roots if you're part of a non traditional family unit. Remarried and adopted families are also challenging. As families blend together, some names disappear. Try to keep your family's history up to date by recording new information, such as birth and deaths, in your notebook. As an official genealogist, your work is never done. So that story was talking about a family tree. And that's what we're going to do today because the people that are in our lives help tell our story. So here's an example of a family tree. Notice on my paper, I drew a tree. And all of these little spots are going to be the people in my family. So that's what you are going to do today on your piece of paper. You are going to draw the people in your family tree, the people that help tell your story. So you might be thinking of drawing your grown-ups. Maybe you have a mom, maybe you have a dad, a grandma, a grandfather, brothers and sisters. Maybe you have aunts and uncles who help tell your story and are in your family tree. I want you to think about as many people as you can draw in your family tree because our families help tell our story and they are important artifacts that help tell our story. So you're going to draw your family tree, all the people in your family that you can think of, you're going to draw a picture of on your paper, and then you're going to take a picture of it and upload it on this next slide. Then when you're finished, make sure you go back to Google Classroom and click Mark as Done.